Welcome to Gatsby's Gyan. You're watching the MBA series, which is an endeavor to cover prominent B schools across the country and help give aspirants a real picture of the college they seek admission. Stay tuned for more updates by subscribing to the channel. Hi Sourav, a very warm welcome to the podcast. How are you doing?
Hi Kripal, I'm doing good. How about you?
Kar- I'm also trying to pull along. I've been having typhoid for the last month, so I'm trying to
Okay.
recover. But talking of you, Saurabh, you're currently placed at Deutsche Bank, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, currently I'm placed with Deutsche Bank. Yeah, correct.
It's called Deutsche Bank. I mean,
Yes, yes. Yeah,
so
they
it's
have
based out of
specified.
Netherlands or something. It's like an international bank.
Yeah, it's kind of an international bank. It's a German-based bank, so
Mm-hmm.
they call it Deutsche there. So that is,
Deutsche.
yeah.
That's a very fancy name. And in what capacity are you working in Deutsche Bank?
So I'm working as a bond analyst here, and
Wow.
it has been 1.5 years there, and the journey has been good actually.
Journey has been really good with the
Yeah.
1.5 years of experience you've had. And the 1.5 years hybrid and in office, or the entire stint was in office?
No, so it's a kind of hybrid setup here. So I go to office 2 days in a week, and the rest of the days I work from home. That is 3 days I work from home. Saturday, Sunday is a holiday.
Saturday, Sundays already. Sort of, if I dive a little more deeper into the kind of work do you do, can you give
Mhm.
us an intricate overview of your day-to-day tasks? Like you're a
Okay.
bond analyst. You must be working on certain tools to analyze whatever is at your disposal. Can you give an intricate overview of that?
Sure, sure. So suppose there is a, I cater to the US market. So suppose there is a deal. By the deal, I mean a structured finance deal, which closes in the
Mm-hmm.
US. So the
Mm-hmm.
documents of those comes to us, and it
Mm-hmm.
is our responsibility to create a cash flow project, the cash flow model out of it, and we just code to create the cash flow models of it by using the logic which is there in the document, and as and when the data comes in, by data I mean the collateral data that comes in,
Exactly.
feed we feed that data into our model, and our model generates reports, and those reports we verify if they are correct or not, and then we send it back to the place, to the servicer who actually gave us the collateral data, and the servicer
Mm-hmm.
actually uploads them on their website. So my
Mm-hmm.
job on an everyday basis is basically to sometimes when new deal gets cracked in US, so I model that
Mm-hmm.
deal, and after that it's basically every day feeding data into the model and generating the reports and sending it back. So that is kind of my work. Yeah.
So if I had to summarize it, it'll be structuring the deal, verifying the kind of collaterals that have been put in, and lastly analyzing it. That is
Correct,
how
correct.
you have an entire day. So, sort of, I've been reading all of your LinkedIn posts these days. You're pretty active. You're very consistent. Almost every 3 days, you're posting something. I read
Yeah,
that
yeah,
you were not wanting to become a data analyst. You had aversion to a data analyst role, but currently
yeah,
you're doing something on similar lines. So, how do
yeah,
you,
yeah.
what do you call, navigate through that?
Yeah, sure. So, like when I graduated from my college, I didn't complete. When I completed my undergraduation, I got a job with Wipro, and there
Yeah,
I was into big data analytics, and
yeah.
that was pure coding. So, at some after some point of time, I realized that I cannot just do coding whole my life. So, I
Mhm.
wanted a mix of something along with coding, and so then I stumbled upon finance when I attempted my CFA level 1 examination. And then
Yeah.
I realized that, okay, so finance is something which interests me. So why not get into a role where there's a mix of finance and coding?
Yeah.
And there is that, and then I decided that I want to get into a role where there'll be finance knowledge, which I'll be using mine to add value to the organization, and at the same time coding. So that kind of amalgamation actually I was looking for, which I got now.
Which you got. And the realization part, how did you end up taking it seriously? So, if I give you an example, most of the individuals have this thing that, okay, what I'm working at is something I'm not liking. But how
Hmm.
do you realize that you're not being lazy, but something is actually right with your gut feeling? How do you give
Yeah,
seriousness to your interpretation?
so that's actually a good question. So I also had this thought that am I being lazy just by not liking the coding part, or it is just a gut feeling of mine that I want to get out of the pure coding domain. So it was so after I worked in Wipro for 2 years, and 2 years I felt that was a good time for me to decide if I want to do coding throughout my life. And I felt that it was kind of a gut feeling for me, because day in day out I was doing coding, and I was kind of having a feeling that no, something more interesting I need to do in my life apart from coding. And finance is something which I found really interesting. So that when I realized that okay, I think I'm not being lazy here, but I think I know that I cannot do coding throughout my life, and I need to switch. And that is when I decided to pursue my MBA.
When you sought to make your switch, were there any other options at your disposal apart from pursuing an MBA? Like any other career plans where you could land where you wanted to by doing something else?
Yeah, so actually, I'm a very hardworking person, and my father actually he wanted me to get into public sector domains. So
Yeah.
my father wanted me to become an IAS, and actually I was very hardworking also, and so I felt that I could crack an IAS
UPSC.
role. Yeah, I could
Yeah.
crack UPSC. But then I felt that no, that will require a lot of effort, and I was not in a situation to put that much of effort. So then I realized that no, UPSC is not an option for me, and other options I had was MBA and a research work, going abroad and doing MTech, doing your PhD. So
Mm-hmm.
I was not in a situation where I could invest a lot of time of mine into completing my MTech or PhD, and I felt that I need a quick result. So I have always been that kind of person in my life where I do when I'm doing something, I just need a quick observation, a quick what to say, a quick
Quick
kind of
reward out of whatever you're putting in.
yeah, quick reward. I should be able to see if I'm putting effort into something, then that is resulting into something tangible. So that led me to not pursue my PhDs, and I want to do then I decided that corporate world is good for me actually.
Because corporate world has this ladder where the kind of efforts you put in is valued every year. That's what you're trying to reiterate.
Correct, correct,
But
correct. Yeah.
but sort of, if I were to be a little more inquisitive about your UPSC dream, I mean, you just withdrew out of it given the fact that it was a little too burdensome for you to prepare.
uh
Or was there any other reason with regard to UPSC? If you could give a little more clarity on that.
Yeah, so UPSC, when I was thinking about pursuing UPSC, two things came in my mind. First one was that there would be a lot of effort that I'll have to put in, and the second thing was the after the training, the work I'll be doing, that will be completely different from the corporate world. So
Exactly.
I could not see myself doing that kind of work, and
Hmm.
I somehow felt that corporate role is better for me, and so that is why like I felt that let's chuck the idea of UPSC and then directly go to the corporate world, move up the ladder, and then have take up higher roles, add value to the organization, and yeah, so that actually felt more resonating to me than becoming a IAS officer.
Wow, wow, wow. You made a strong point about trying to fit in. You fit in the corporate structure, so that's all the more what do you call praiseworthy. So moving
Yes,
ahead
yes.
with your career trajectory, once you stepped into IIM Kozhikode, what were the other colleges that you had in hand with regard to the
Uh,
selection?
So, like when I was filling my CAT application, so I was very sure that I wanted to get into an IIM only, and so I
Mm-hmm.
didn't fill the other colleges. So they had their checklist, like
Yeah.
what colleges you want to send your CAT scores into,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
and I selected only IIMs, and I got a shortlist from IIM Indore and IIM Kozhikode. So I gave
Mm-hmm.
my interviews in IIM Indore and IIM Kozhikode, and apart from that, actually I got a call from smaller baby IMs also, like they call the IMs which are newer. So
Mm-hmm.
But I was very sure that I want to get into an IM, and that to a old one. So like I
Yeah.
was very specific about that, and so
Wow.
I got shortlisted from IM Indore and Kozhikode. I gave their interviews, and I cleared both of them, and
Mm-hmm.
there I was sitting. Had a decision to make whether to go to IM Indore and Kozhikode, and because of multiple after multiple analysis and taking into consideration multiple criterias, I decided to join IM Kozhikode there.
And Korikode also has a special thing for finance, if I'm not mistaken. Was that a
Yeah,
driving force as well?
yeah. So I actually, before taking the decision, I actually reached out to my seniors who were actually studying in IM Kozhikode as well as in IM Indore, and from them I got a feedback that I was really interested into finance at that time, and so I would specifically ask them that how is the placement scenario of finance there, and I got positive feedback from my Kozhikode seniors, and so I decided that okay, let's join IM Kozhikode and let's see what is there in hand for me.
So, sort of building upon that question, what do you think were a few factors on your profile which were
Mhm.
instrumental in helping you get selected at IIM Kozhikode and both Indore? What were a few
Uh,
factors that played the part for you?
so I think my before joining the IIM, my profile was actually very strong. I had
Mm-hmm.
graduated from an IIT, and
Mm-hmm.
in my graduation process, I secured a good CGPA,
Mm-hmm.
which was above 9 actually, and
Wow.
and then what to say, I had cleared my CFA level 1 examination also, and so
Mm-hmm.
I had a good profile before joining the IIM, and so I think maybe that played a good role in getting me clearing the interviews.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that yeah, my profile was actually very good, and my interview didn't go well, but still I cleared it. So I think that it was a my profile played a bigger part than the interview on that day,
I
and
see. I see.
so that I think was a crucial thing for me.
Strong academics always play a crucial role. But if there's something that you would have done differently when it comes to the interview, now that you look at it in hindsight, what would
Mhm.
that have been? So that you could have not, tanked your interview. Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to do well in the interviews, and actually I prepared well for it. But there were few questions which were asked by the panelists then, and those questions answer I did not have. And after the interview, actually I was really frustrated, and I was thinking that I wouldn't be able to make it to IIMs, but God has had planned something for me, and I got uh, admission in both the IIMs, and then I decided to join IIM Kozhikode.
That's a wonderful story. But once you stepped into IIM Kozhikode, what was the kind of difference between IIT BHU and IIM Kozhikode? You're from BHU, right? IIT BHU, if
Yes,
I'm not mistaken.
correct.
So, was there a world's difference in the academic environment and the way the things are structured? What were your initial observations?
Yeah, so I would say that the first thing I observed was a lot of in the classroom setup, a lot of discussions used to happen in IIM, whereas in IIT BHU, the professor would come, he would teach us, and he would leave, and there would be little interaction between the student and the professor. So emphasis on learning through discussion was put on more in IIM, and that is something I was really interested into. So I learned a lot from my classmates, and that is a big reason why people want to get into IIM, because uh, very smart people get into IIMs, and then when they are in a classroom, a lot of good discussions happen from which you learn a lot. So this was a major difference I observed, and the second difference I observed was in IIM actually more emphasis was given on improving your knowledge as well as your personality. So a wholesome improvement of yours was put more emphasis on at IIM, whereas in IIT it was majorly academics. The professors would be they would be very much interested in you learning the concepts which you were taught, and not taking part in extracurricular activities. So it was at IIM at IIT, it was from your side to put in effort to uh,
Develop
uh,
yourself.
develop yourself, take part in extracurricular activities. Whereas in IIM, it was like you had to participate. There was no other option, and that evolved you as a different as a person also in IIM.
Makes sense, makes sense. But if there's one academic question that I'd like to ask you is the fact that if IIT programs can integrate all these aspects of an MBA, the utility of an MBA might not be as relevant as it is today. Right, Saurabh?
Yes, yes,
If
correct.
those elements of MBA can be integrated into an IT, you can already be equipped to be a business professional then.
Uh-huh.
So what do you think about that?
I think this is a good question, but the selection process of IIT is such that you cannot get people.
Focus is on
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
you cannot get people who are like completely well developed personality, because at
Yeah.
in IITs people come who are very hardworking. I won't say studious. They are very hardworking, smart worker, but they ultimately are more into academics. And
Exactly.
the population which come in IIM, they are not too much into academics, but into developing your wholesome personality. So that is where I think IIT cannot mimic the environment which an IIM makes.
There's a difference of objective at the end of the day. That's what you're trying
Yes,
to
yes,
say.
yes, yes, correct.
So further building upon your IMK experience, how did you go about making friends, finding like-minded people, approaching case competitions, and of course the placement part? How was the experience?
So at IIM, the curriculum was managed, and it was in such a way that it facilitated discussion among people. So the course was such that groups would be prepared in a class, and amongst groups you had to do certain activities. You had to work on projects. You had to do presentation in front of the class, and those presentation helped you overcome the fear of crowd, and working in a group helped you find your strengths and your weakness. Where do you find yourself in a group? What kind of role you play in a group? So that kind of learning you had and in IIM. So it was a good
I see.
learning experience. So it was basically the structure was planned in such a way that it led to a complete development of your personality. And yeah, so I would say that that was a very very exciting thing for me, because I was not exposed to in that environment before. Like, I came from an IIT college, and there only you do there only you study and you do assignments, and that's it. Making friends is upon you. Like, if you are a kind of an introvert, then you don't make friends. If you're an extrovert, then you make friends. But in IIM, there is no such option. You have to talk to people. You have to take part in discussions in class. You have to work in a group. So that kind of pushed you towards improving our personality.
Yep, yep, yep. That impact of communicating with your peers, that is really a
Yes,
substantial part of IM programs. But so
correct.
building upon that again, about the placements, did you have any issues with the placement cell, sort of? Or
Yeah.
was it all a
uh,
healthy thing?
No, no. So I didn't have any issues with the placement cells, although something very bad happened with me during my summer interns. But
Mm-hmm.
thinking in the hindsight, I still don't have any grudges against the placement committee, because ultimately I believe they did a good job actually in
Yeah,
in placing the whole batch. That is a
yeah.
commendable thing, and in that process you might end up having certain taking some certain bad decisions which will impact the placements of certain people. But that is okay, I think, because you cannot satisfy the whole batch of 480. Like,
Yeah.
there will be people who will be having who will get placed in not a good company. By not a good
Mm.
company, I mean those companies are not bad, but the interests of the students are not into that company. So that
Yeah.
kind of thing also happens. And yeah, so overall I believe that they did a good job at it. So I was satisfied with my process actually.
A couple of years down the line, all of us tend to be nicer towards our peers. That's
Mm.
what you're trying to say. And yeah,
Yeah,
so
correct.
again, discussing one of your LinkedIn posts, sort of, you mentioned that it was day zero and the placements were coming in, and you were sort of troubled that you're not landing the roles of your liking. That is when you rang
Yeah,
up one of your seniors and she told you that I'm not sure if it was she or
he,
he, but
yeah,
he told you that land the role of your liking, don't care about the
mhm,
market. So, can you
yeah.
shed a little more light on that?
Yeah, so it was so the placements in IIM happen in two phases. The first phase is laterals, we call it laterals, and the final phase we call finals. So in the laterals, actually, companies which are uh, the consulting companies and the product management companies, they come to campus. So I my interest was into finance, and so but I had to sit for laterals because before laterals, uh, the final comes after laterals only. So I had to sit for laterals, but I wanted to get into finance. So I applied because I wanted to get into finance. I didn't wholeheartedly apply in all the companies which visited
Yeah, that.
campus. I was very selective. Like I mentioned in one of my posts that I applied to only 50% of the companies which came
Yeah,
for lateral hiring, and
yeah.
I didn't prepare well also for those companies because somewhere in my mind there was that yeah, I have come to this college to switch into finance,
Finance.
and if I end up working in a different role, then my objective will not be satisfied. So I thought that let this process go. I would see through the laterals process, and in final I'll give my 100% when the finance companies will be coming in. So I was lucky enough that in the finals, in day one, actually, ICICI Bank came and I got a job with they extended an offer for me.
So, having that clarity before you start your program, that is really essential. That's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, so like there'll be two kind of people in a placement process in any B school. Like there'll be people who are okay with any kind
Who
of
will
role,
go with the flow? Yeah, who will go
who
with
will
the
go with the
flow?
flow, and that it is not, and nothing is bad in that, I think, because people might not be very clear in their mind about which role they want to work into, and that is absolutely fine. So that is fine, and there'll be other people who would be very specific about which kind of role they want to get into from the placements, and so that is where I believe I was into the second category where I was very specific about which kind of roles I wanted, and so that actually I was lucky enough to like crack a finance role after 50% of the placement process was done already.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. That, not giving into what is running on the market and sticking to what you are interested in. That takes a lot of
Yeah,
courage. So appreciate you
yeah,
for
and
that as well.
sorry, I forgot about that thing that you asked about my one of my seniors. So like
Yeah, yeah.
it was the lateral process only was going on, and I was really frustrated because it was clear in my mind that I want to aim the finance roles only, but somewhere this stress and looking at other people getting jobs, so that kind of started getting into me, and so I ended up calling one of my seniors, and so I asked him like, this is the kind of scenario I'm waiting for the finance companies to come in, but I'm getting stressed because it might I was taking a very big risk because
Yep,
if the
yep.
finance companies would have not taken me, then I would have ended up in different kind of roles like marketing, which I was not interested in. So I asked my senior what to do, and he told me that he gave me a very good advice. He told me that get placed according to your terms and not on terms of any other people, be it your family members. So that was a great advice which was given to me, and then that helped me gain my confidence back, and I was like up again with my aim
Renewed
of
with.
getting to the
Yep.
role.
Wow, wow. That's a very wholesome story. And you told that ICICI Bank is the organization that took you in during
Yes,
day
correct.
zero of the placement. So that was for SIPs, if I'm not wrong.
It was for a relationship manager role, and
Uh-huh.
relationship manager into corporate banking. That was a role
I mean,
into.
I'm asking you if it was for the summer internship. It was for the summer internship, right?
No, no. So this situation was for final
This situation
placements
was for the
actually.
finals. So after you got into ICICI as a relationship manager, what happened after that? From there to your journey to Deutsche Bank, how did it all work out?
Yeah, so my work at ICICI Bank was basically of a relationship manager who would like analyze the corporates who wanted to get loan from the company from ICICI Bank. So my job was basically to do due diligence of the company end to end, including the financials, their the credit ratings of the directors, and everything. And I would create a report of 40 to 50 page, and that report I would present to the senior committee and get approval from them and close the deal. So the work was really interesting actually. And but like somewhere at ICICI I realized that number one, the working hours was really high. So like I would be going to office. I would be reaching office by 10 and I would be coming back by 10 in the night. So it was 12 hours work. And I would agree that my friends were working more than 12 hours, like the people who are into investment banking. But I had this in my mind that I want a work life balance. And so I felt that I cannot work for this much hour because like no time was left for working on myself, like enjoying work and watching something, some TV series, or like doing something which I really enjoy doing. So no time was remaining for those activities. And then I realized that okay, I have to make a switch for my love work life balance. And so that is when I decided to join Deutsche Bank actually, and it has been a good time since then. Yeah.
In both the phases of your career, back from Wipro and back at ICICI as well, you were very brave enough to take strong decisions. Coding is something
Mhm.
that I don't want to do. Work-life balance is my priority. So again, that
Yeah.
is something that not a lot of people do as well. I appreciate you for that. But when it comes to
Yeah.
Deutsche Bank, it was what do you call an outsourced employment opportunity where you just landed on the website and applied for it, or was there something else involved?
No, so it was actually the director of the department where I'm working in. He had put up a post on LinkedIn uh, for an opening about opportunity in his department. So I accidentally somewhat stumbled upon that post and I applied. I sent my resume to the email ID which was mentioned there, and luckily I got call from the director. He had shortlisted my resume, so I got a call from him saying that we want to interview so for this role. And then from there it started. And then two rounds of interview happened and I was offered a role. So it was kind of that, like.
After a couple of rounds, you were offered a role. That's again
Mhm.
interesting to hear, Saurav. Now, talking about the troubles of yours with CFA, the first attempt
Mhm.
was something you gave after CAT happened, where you were not sure of getting into your dream college. But when it comes to
Mhm.
the second attempt, there were a few tragic instances, like you had written on one of your posts. So,
Yes,
how
yes.
did CFA happen, and are you currently planning on giving L3 as well?
Yeah. So what happened is CFE level one I had cleared already before joining IIM Kozhikode, and level two I was aiming for. So in the first attempt, I took the first attempt when I was in ICICI Bank, and I didn't prepare very seriously because I became very complacent because I had a good job in my hand. I was working with ICICI Bank, so why study for CFA? And so I didn't prepare well, and so I ended up failing the exam. But what happened is during the examination, I actually my the there was some technical glitch. Because of that I could not access my questions for around 15 minutes, and I raised the issue with the CFA institute and they offered me a free attempt. So the next year attempted again, and again I was not very like serious about my preparations, and so I couldn't clear that. So that was like kind of my luck with CFA. But I'm looking forward to give another attempt at level two, so sometime in the future, and like clear it. And if that happens, then it would be again a good achievement for me. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll definitely be a good icing on the cake with I'm Corey Code IIT BHE on your resume already. And talking of
Mhm.
your current state, Deutsche Bank, are you satisfied or are you deliberating on another switch in the coming years?
No, no. Like currently, I'm satisfied, and I'm planning to work with Deutsche Bank for a long time. So because like I'm getting to learn a lot, and the kind of work there is, it is very interesting. It is into structured finance. I have no background about structured finance, and I'm learning on the job, and that is actually a good journey from me. So that is why like I'm planning to work with Deutsche Bank for a long time.
Hope the career is equally rewarding, Saurav. And
Yeah.
since you've been analyzing a lot of bonds and a lot of deals that are happening in US, there is something else
Hmm.
sprouting from USA as well, which is the recession that all of us are talking about. So
Hmm.
currently observing the placement scenarios at all the leading B schools across the country. What do you have to
Hmm.
comment on that? We see it. We saw even
Uh,
I'm Korikode posting a lot on placements. So what do you think about
yeah.
that?
So currently, to be honest, the hiring market is very in a great downturn, I think, because a lot of people are losing their job, they are being fired, and finding a job is very difficult in this situation. So having said that, I am bullish in for the future, because I think that next year, I think the situation might improve. The job market might open up, a lot of openings might come up for people who are out of job now. So I believe that they should be upskilling themselves uh, in in these times, so that when the right opportunity comes to them, then they should be prepared to grab them with both their hands.
To
So I
bounce.
would, yeah, to bounce back. So I would suggest them to upskill, keep upskilling, do not lose hope, and just think that it is just a phase which will go, which will pass away, and
Yeah.
after that there will be good things waiting for them.
Wow, wow, that's a positive way to look at it. And when do you expect all of these funding winters to be done with? Is there any estimated range of time where you expect this to be done with?
Done with, as in the this
When do you
downturn
see the
getting.
market opening up for their opportunities?
So
When do
I
you see
believe that from January next year, I think it should open up,
from January next
because
year?
yeah, I believe, because this is financial year is ending, I think, in
Mhm.
December, like the third quarter will end. So I believe in the fourth quarter, they will be having a lot of funds remaining, which they would invest in hiring people, because in the April, their annual report should not show this much of funds remaining. Like they have to show what they did with those funds, and with those funds actually, they generally hire people only. And so that is why I believe that in January, I think
Hiring will
hiring,
start
the
to
job
bounce.
hiring should go up. Yeah.
Makes sense, makes sense. Sort of. And talking of situations like these in particular, talking of crisis situations, how can prospective candidates who seek to be placed at corporate setups foolproof themselves from situations like these? Have a,
uh,
have a shock proof this thing that, okay, my resume is not going to be tarnished. How do they
okay.
shock?
Okay, as in like you're asking like how should they get a
How they
short
can,
list, or.
I mean, okay, let me give you an example. Given the market conditions right now, and there is a
Mhm,
candidate who's looking for a job, or who is expecting a layoff. So
mhm.
how does he, enable his career from, being shock proof? Like how does he
Okay,
enable
okay.
himself from being laid off?
Yeah, so the one thing which I think is doing hard work, which there is no shortcut to that. Like if you're working hard, if you're delivering, if you're adding value to the company, then you would be the last person they would fire. So that has to be their hard work. Apart from that, even if they're working hard and there is a chance that they might be laid off. So I think they should be parallelly looking for different jobs already, considering the situation is now. So I think every person should be looking for some kind of job parallelly while they're working with their current company, because if they get fired, then they would be having another opportunity in their hand from some other company. So I think they'll have to be selfless about it.
Having a plan B always helps. That's what you're
Yeah,
trying to
plan B.
get.
Correct,
So,
correct.
so sort of, there's another thing that I'd like to touch upon is the fact that most of your posts are not written to garner likes, but are written with an original sense of view. That yes, this is
Mm-hmm.
something that I want to share with everybody. If the
Mm-hmm.
going ahead, if there's something else you'd like to share with all the aspirants, all the people who seek to make a career in the corporate with, what is that one
Mm-hmm.
advice would you give?
So I generally keep writing about this, and which is that in your 20s you should be looking at the job market in a way that you want to explore everything. You should be of a exploring nature in your 20s, where you are kind of trying out on content writing, trying out on finance, marketing. Try exploring as much as possible. And in your 20s you should be finding the thing which interests you, and in your 30s and 40s you should be working on that to master yourself in that skill, or to gain that knowledge which interests you. Because like if you keep like practicing that thing, you become a master of it, and company will pay anything to get you in their organization. So one thing is to get master at it, and second thing is you become a master only when you enjoy doing that thing. So from there it comes that you should be exploring everything, and you should be finding your interest. So first find your interest, and then work on that to become a master, and then nothing can stop you from achieving
Find your
your
niche
goals.
and work relentlessly towards it. That's what you're trying
Yes,
to say. Saurabh.
yes,
And
yes, correct.
if there's another thing that I like your 2 cents on is decision making. You've taken a lot of decisions that are contrary to what runs in the market. What would your
Mm-hmm.
advice be on decision making?
So, like honestly, I won't suggest anyone to make decisions which I have taken for my career, simply because my profile was such that I was able to take those risks, because my profile was a very good profile. IIT, IIM, having good grades in 12th, and good CGPA in undergrad, and CFA level 1. So these kind of added up for me and developed a great profile for me, and that profile helped me take risk. But many people, like if they might not be from a good college, so for them taking these kind of risks can be counterintuitive. Like they might end up destroying their career. So I really don't suggest people to like take these kind of decisions. I promote taking risk, but risk should be taken according to the appetite which you have, and that
Hmm.
appetite is decided based on your profile.
Your
So
profile and
that
your
is
current financial conditions, if
financial
I'm
condition, correct?
yeah.
Yes,
So
correct.
sort of with that, we come towards the end of the episode. It was a brilliant experience getting to talk to you about your corporate career, and I appreciate the
Yes,
fact, the real originality with which you gave all the advices. Thank you so much for
yes, yes.
agreeing to do this.
Yeah, thanks, Kripal, for inviting me here, and it was great interacting with you. Yeah.